y'all. Welcome to the Godly Vibes and Blessings podcast. This is Quante Reid, your host, and we are here with season 3, episode 3. So, divine activation happening right now. So I wanted to talk to you guys about trust and faith and kind of to lead back to what we were talking about on the last podcast about how got God's good versus regular good. And if you have not listened to that podcast, make sure you go listen to it. It's a good podcast to listen to. Like episode, like it's top tier. So yeah, based off what we talked about in that last podcast episode, we were referring back to how God has things for us, and then it's other good things for us that God doesn't want us to do because it's not in His will for us to do. So you have to pay attention on if you're gonna go with this good thing based off it being good and a great opportunity, or are you gonna be patient and wait on God's good thing for you? And in the middle of that is one big thing that you have to make sure that you implement in your life and in your heart, which is trust. You have to trust God through the process of deciding on being obedient and how you're going to be obedient. So, in that, you have to have faith in yourself and in God because faith and trust go together. Like, you can't have one without the other. I feel like personally, because for me, if I didn't trust God with getting in front of the mic, my faith is yes, he is going to have it reach whoever he has for the podcast to reach the audience or whatever. But my trust is when I sit behind this mic that he's going to speak through me. So when I get started for the podcast, I get dressed and everything, do my makeup and my hair. All those things are great. But I'm not here for the looks or anything like that. So I'm like, okay, if I'm dressed from head to toe and I'm ready to record, and I'm not trusting that the next step, which is the main step, the most important thing is what I actually say out my mouth, isn't in place, then what's the reason to be doing this? So I have to trust God every day with this process of recording. I have to trust that whenever I get in front of the mic, He's going to speak through me. And that's what He's going to do. He's going to speak through me, and I'm trusting that He's going to do that. Now, what I say, sometimes, it may feel like like, oh, how is she coming up with this, or where does this come from? It's not always us. Like when people are speaking and when they're trusting God and when they're letting God lead them and him being the one that they go to and run to and the depend on, like, it's God speaking through us. So yeah, so we're going to talk about trust, and that's a process you have to like take your time with. You can't rush through that process of trusting God and trusting that he's going to take care of everything that he said he was going to take care of. And I wanted to say a few things before I get into the details of trusting him. It's something that I feel like if you don't sit down and be realistic with yourself on what your expectations are and you discuss those expectations with him, then how are you going to have a realistic relationship with him? Like, you can't have trust in God alone based off of other people's trust with him and their relationships with him. Like, you have to create your own relationship with him in order to build that trust up. You wouldn't become just like people do this, I guess. Some may, some may not. You can't go into a friendship with someone just because that's your other friend's friend doesn't mean that, like, they're gonna be there for you like they're there for the other person. Not saying they're not, but the level of trust that was built between a relationship that was longer than a short relationship, you have to build that relationship with that person to get to know them for yourself. You know what I'm saying? So I hope that makes sense. So I am promoting that, like, build that relationship with God yourself. Trust in him. Trust that your relationship with him is just as good as anyone else. Like, sometimes it's like, a parent favoritism, or a teacher have favor. You feel like teachers have favoritism towards certain students in the classroom. Like, God favors us all. He doesn't have a certain student, a certain child that he does not love any less than the other. You know what I'm saying? Or any more than the other. Like, he loves all of us equally. Like, we are brothers and sisters in Christ, and we all have access to him. We all have access to our blessings. We all have access to the favor and things that he has for us that's waiting on us to just trust him. If you was blindfolded and you were walking and you're like, where am I going, Lord? Like, where are we going? And you just kept peeking out up under your blindfold and you're looking at what was happening around you, you would automatically, if you had two paths in that situation, you would automatically go with the one that looked like it's less things going on than the one that had a whole lot of stuff going on. If you could actually visually see the things that was going on around you. So in that moment, and he told you, if he told you to put the blindfold back down and don't look at things going on around you and just trust him and just listen to his voice and just keep leaning towards him and the light and different things like that, like, you'll be surprised. You may go through this path that's clear and it seems like it's the easiest way out, and then things start coming up out of nowhere when you get to the top, and then it start knocking you back down, and you're not where you was, excuse me, expecting to be, because you were so strongly trying to get through that whole pathway, that journey so quickly, and not learning the lessons that comes with it. Or the other option would be, okay, I got this blindfold. Oh, I'd rather not see. It's like a scary movie when you're a little kid. Like, you don't want to watch scary movies, so you got the blanket up like over your head. Like, that's what you need to do when it comes to trusting God. You need to trust Him through whatever environment that He has you walking in, whatever journey He has you on. You have to trust Him through it. You know what I'm saying? He's with us in the valley and all those different things. So you have to continue, like, y'all, please continue to do that. Like, don't give up on yourself in that. Don't give up on him. I've had times where I have lost hope, and you cannot lose your hope. Like, you have to keep your hope, because the devil wants us to not have hope in God, and that makes us not have trust in him and not believe in him and his promises that he has for us. So we have to continuously build that by looking at what his word says, what his promises are to each of us, and how testimonies from not just your own testimonies but from others' testimony, how it feeds your faith, feeds your belief in him, and that if he can do it for them, he can do it for me. And that's something that's another trust thing. Like, I battled with that before. I'm like, okay, Lord, you said you're gonna do all these things for me. I'm still waiting on them. And then, not that I was envying anybody else, I was looking at him as a father. Like, you told me that you were gonna do this. Like, you speaking to me in me and your time alone, and I'm waiting and looking around me, and I don't feel that momentum that I thought I was gonna have from that moment with you telling me. Because sometimes we get so caught up in the excitement of receiving things and what he said those promises are to us, that we don't be patient, that we don't activate that patience that's needed, and that I would say that momentum that in that moment can get us kind of like caught up, and we get all like, oh, I'm supposed to be stagnant in this moment, or I'm supposed to be moving. And so we're just like all over the place, like you over here just dancing, right? Like, we have to stay still and just like listen, like, okay, he told me to wait, so let me just wait. Let me find something positive to do in the meantime, not to overstep that waiting process, but let me find something to kind of not like, not, I wouldn't say like distract you in a bad way, because you can get distracted in a bad way. Don't get into something that's going to distract you in a bad way, but in a good way. Like, praying for other people that's getting those things that you want, or that he said he promised you. Pray for those people that's getting that new house, and God told you gonna get a house. Like, pray for those people. The new cars, or the new jobs, or new opportunities, the new followers, or the new brand ambassadors, like all those things. Like, you continue to pray for others that's receiving those things that God said he was gonna promise you to, because he's going to give it to you. He's not, like I said, he's not a God that has a certain favorite child or anything like that. Like, you have to trust God and know that if he said he's going to do it, he's going to do it. So, although we're talking about trust and faith, the other thing that I always talk about is obedience. Like that, those three things you need. So you have to be obedient. And sometimes when we are obedient, it can outweigh the blessings that's right there. You feel like the test that you're in, actually, the test that you're in, that you feel like that moment is outweighing the blessing. That moment is outweighing, like, was it worth it me? Was it worth it? Was it worth me being obedient in that moment? Was it worth it with me losing people, my friends, or whoever that I was close to for this? Or was it worth it of me getting some people have this happen, their income being decreased for that moment of obedience for God to get and receive all the things he's promising us? Like, all those things matter, and we have to like slow down and like, okay, yes, we are human, so we're like, well, we got to pay for this, we got to pay for that. Like, I want this, I want that. But are you slowing down to trust God, and are you slowing down to like know, like, mentally and spiritually, like, understand, okay, my obedience is worth it? Like, you have to make that sacrifice. So when we're making those sacrifices, when we're trusting God, when we're leaning into Him and just growing our relationship with Him and growing our faith by feeding ourselves, feeding our spirits those healthy things that's needed to continue to push through and to continue to just keep going forward. Like, what things are you implementing in your life to trust Him? He'll sometimes ask you, like, do you really trust me? He asks me that sometimes when I'm like getting a little shaky on what he's asking me to do, that obedient or that assignment that he's asking me to do. Like, I have to like sit down and just like, okay, Lord, you've had me do assignment like this before and I know the outcome. So what difference does it make what the outcome is, as long as that God is telling you to do it? You know what I'm saying? Like, just focus on that. If we like narrow down those things and focus on Him, then everything else will fall into place. And it doesn't always feel like it's falling into place, but it is. And that is part is you trusting Him and having faith. Like, you seeing it working out. Like, you seeing that your those keys are on your key ring already. Like, you seeing that car's in your drive. Like, you're seeing that outside of materialistic things, like your faith and your spirit man is built up. You know what I'm saying? Like, seeing that you're healed physically. Some people need healing in their body physically. Seeing that you're healed mentally and seeing that you're healed emotionally. You know what I'm saying? Like, all those things are tied into trusting God with those areas of your life in order to receive those things. So yeah, I know I just said a lot. So let me just kind of give y'all a second to catch up. But yes, make sure you are trusting God and trusting the process of knowing that whatever He's told you to do, that He's not telling you to do those things to just tell you. Like, He's trying to help us. This world is crazy. It's a lot of evil things and evil people and spiritual things that we're battling. But if we trust God and know what team we're on, like, it's no way we can lose. Like, my dad, like I told y'all, I think I said this before. Like, my dad would say, "How does it feel to be on a team that you can't lose?" Like, okay, we can't lose. Like, it's no way we cannot lose. We're gonna win the battle if we just trust God and continue to have people around you that's gonna help you and build you up as well. Having a support system that lines up with what God's promises is for you will help you. You can have people that tell you, "Oh, good job," and everything, and they may not want to see you grow up past a certain space or level, but the whole point of us doing what we're supposed to do and moving in obedience is to help others. It's people that are waiting on y'all, waiting on you, waiting on you, waiting on you to do what you're supposed to do and be obedient and activate that trust and faith and that obedience in you in order to help them. That's the end goal anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're supposed to be helping each other, pushing each other, encouraging each other, inspiring each other, and just, loving one another. Like, it's so many things that we have to do as a unity and as a team. We need team effort to do those things. So everybody I play my part. Y'all make sure y'all play your part, building your trust in yourself, in God, and just knowing that everything that He said, everything He said He's gonna do, He's going to do. So yeah, that wraps up this episode. It was real quick, but it was real good. Like, short and sweet. But I hope you guys enjoy this episode, and I hope you implement those things I'm referring to in this episode and the other episode we talked about. Make sure y'all having trust and using that faith cycle. I don't know if you guys have went back and looked. I did eventually add that document I was referring to about the faith cycle. So go back and look at that document and see how it'll bless you and how you can implement in your everyday life. Apply it and keep working towards it. I have faith in you guys, and I love you, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye. Become lit, stay lit, of course. Bye again. Only God leave vibes and blessings here, yeah. Only